Hello and welcome everyone. We're really excited to have everyone here today for our weekly OCI deep dive. I'm Maria Philip, Product Marketing Manager with the OCI Go-to-Market team, and today we're joined by presenter Haris Qureshi, App Integration Specialist on the Oracle EMEA AI and App Modernization team, and he'll take you through the live presentation and demo. We also have Juan Gonzalez Carrero, who is QA lead for this webinar. He's also App Integration Specialist on the Oracle EMEA AI and App Modernization team. The topic of today's webinar is Empowering Insights, Automating Sentiment Analysis from Customer Feedback, which is about the transformative potential of OCI AI Language Service. You'll learn about the approach to harnessing the power of language processing, focus on sentiment analysis derived from customer feedback data. Our presenter will also cover how to use Oracle Integration Cloud for seamless automation, facilitating the extraction of sentiment insight. And now that's enough for me. So Haris, please go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot, Maria, for the introduction. My name is Haris Qureshi, and as Maria mentioned, I'm joined by Juan Carlos, who would be answering all your questions. So please keep him busy. Today's topic, we will be covering how you can get insights from sentiment analysis, from customer feedback, and we will be covering a live demo. So let's start. You know, in the world that we are living today, every business, every action that we take, we are always looking for feedback. From making a purchasing decision, if I go to a shop, I need to buy something, I'm always looking for some kind of a feedback. To watching a movie, maybe I go to IMDb first to see what kind of a rating that movie has, to going to trying a new restaurant. In our world today, every decision that we are making, we are always looking for our peers' feedbacks, and in that case the businesses are really interested in what customers are saying about it. Now, while I have been talking about this, I'm sure some of you would have read some of the feedbacks that I've shared over here about burger joint, and for you and me, it is very easy when we read these sentiments to understand what kind of a sentiment this person has towards this business. You know, they can be negative or they can be really positive, but in some cases within some of the feedback, they have both the feelings. You know, they might be happy about something, they might be not so happy about something else. So we say, you know, that's kind of a neutral feedback. Now, in today's world, we always notice that customers are taking businesses are taking real action on these feedback. If you go and look at a business reviews, maybe on the Google website, you would see that businesses are responding to these feedback. They want to keep their customers happy. And in this scenario, where someone is providing a really bad feedback, maybe they would try to reach out to this customer, offer them some kind of a free meal to make sure that their sentiment, you know, changes towards their business, and they discuss about their business in a positive term. Now, you and me, we can read this, we can understand it, but for businesses, the reality is that they are getting feedback from different sources, and the amount of feedback that is coming is huge. Now imagine you need to do the same thing, just multiply those 3 feedbacks to 1,000 feedbacks. How you can automate this whole process, use AI to understand this sentiment, and then take some actions. And today, it's all about this. Before I run with demonstrating end-to-end, let's understand a few other things. You know, from Oracle's perspective, we are covering AI in many different ways. We want to provide solutions to our enterprises, not in one manner. All of us have been discussing, wherever we go, we read about AI. What's Oracle's strategy on that? Number one, the world's most of the data is relying with Oracle, right? So it always starts from the data level. There are different aspects to it. One of the aspects is you have data scientists, they want to run their own machine learning algorithms, they want to perform data science tasks. In regards to that, we are providing HPC, we are providing data science services, we are providing machine learning built into our database, whether it's Oracle or MySQL via HeatWave. If you want to run high-end things, we have GPU infrastructure as well as part of OCI. So you can go and you can get the best GPU available to run your machine learning algorithms. We all have been listening and hearing a lot about generative AI. So in that respect, Oracle has gone into an agreement with one of the leading generative AI companies called Cohere, and they are focusing on enterprise use cases and enterprise customers. This service is currently available as limited availability, and in the cloud world, you will find very soon it would be generally available. So if you have Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, very soon you would be able to benefit with Cohere services, or you can join in the limited availability program and have these services as part of your OCI. Now, besides providing all this, we also are offering AI services and applications, which is on the right-hand side. Now, not every business have got the capability or resources to hire data scientists or to run these machine learning algorithms. So what we are doing for them, we are providing AI services like digital assistant, where you can have a chatbot running for your organizations, Oracle AI speech, which you can translate any kind of a conversation, like this conversation we can record and it can transcribe that and can translate that into text. Vision service, which can detect any kind of object. So you pass some images, or you have a use case where you want to, let's say, read the licensing plate from a car. The vision service can detect that, can read that, and can provide you those details. Document understanding. I have run a similar session earlier. You can go and look at the recording. What document understanding? You can actually pass different enterprise documents like invoices, receipts, passports, licenses. It will read those documents, it will extract the key values, and it will provide you those information. And similarly, anomaly detection, which is all about you have data coming from different sources, and usually it follows a certain path, but then there are certain anomalies coming in certain scenarios. So you want to detect that. Today, it's all about language. So we will see how customers are utilizing OCI AI Language Service to understand feedback, sentiments, and analyze records. So I will talk about that shortly. Apart from that, we are also building AI features inside our applications, whether it is Fusion application, NetSuite, or Cerner. All these applications, very soon you would see a simple use case can be, there is an HR person, he wants to create a new job description, he wants to, has got certain parameters, and it would provide those prompts, those commands, and get that job description generated for them, right? So from Oracle's perspective, we are providing AI, we are building AI at the application level. We are providing different AI services for developers to benefit. We are partnering with Cohere to give you generative AI, as well as we are giving you infrastructure when it comes to GPU and building AI within our database layer also. Now, when it comes to OCI language service, there are different capabilities that this service does. As the name stands, number one, it will detect different languages. So I think it can detect today around 70 different languages. You can translate text from one language to another, but at the same time, it is more than that. So if you pass some text, it can recognize named entity. So in this example, if you see on the right, there are certain things you are seeing color-coded, like SkyTrain, that's a product. Scotland, that's a location. So when you pass the text, it is able to recognize those entities. Sentiment analysis, looking at the text, it is able to analyze and say, okay, what's the sentiment of this sentence, or what the person is experiencing? Is it a positive, negative, or neutral? It is able to detect personal identification. So I come across a lot of customers with use cases where they say, I have got this data, I want to run some analytics on that, but I cannot do it because it has a lot of personal identification, maybe credit card numbers, maybe bank account numbers, maybe date of birth. I want a service which can, either remove all this, mask this, or replace it with something else. So using the PI identification capability, you can pass that data and it will detect all the personal identification. And as an output, it can, you can set the output, it can remove that information, or it would mask it for you. It detects key phrases as well, and as well as text classification. So when you pass a document to this, it can classify and tell you what kind of a document it is. A use case can be someone is trying to research, writing a research paper, and they have got a lot of documents. They can pass those documents to this service, and it will classify that these documents are, let's say, about sports. These documents are, let's say, about food. And if their research is about, say, food, so they have all those documents in one bucket, and they can move forward from there. So within this service, you have a lot of different capabilities. From the sentiment analysis perspective, which we will be focusing today, apart from the others, what the sentiment analysis is, it is doing it aspect-based. So if you look at a sentence, if again on the right-hand side, if you look at the example, and I just pick one sentence where it's saying the hotel is positioned for the SkyTrain for exploring downtown with the usual comforts. Now, this is a sentence where the positive aspect and feeling is about the hotel. So you can see what this service does. It is able to identify that. It picks up, okay, this sentence is talking about hotel in a positive manner. So it is identifying that, it is giving you a positive feedback to that with a certain score. So that is what aspect and sentiment analysis is all about. At the same level, it is doing that at the sentence level as well. So if you are passing the data, you want the aspect analysis at the sentence level, you can do that, or at the entity level. Now, enough talk about our services. Let's look at Language AI service in real time. I presume you can see my OCI language console now. So this is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure console. For reaching this service, all you need to do within our analytics and AI, there are all these AI services, and the number one is language, right? So you can go to language. If you have OCI tenancy, you will have access to that. First, it is giving you a lot of information. The things that I talked about: language detection. It talks about 75 languages, text classification, sentiment analysis, key phrase, named entity, and PII detection. It gives you reference to different blogs, live labs, SDKs, APIs. Now, let's look at what this service does. When I click on the text analytics, here is some text. Let me put my own text here. So I want to pass this text, and I want this service to analyze, and it is talking about some kind of a hotel and loyal customers. Number one thing you see from a results, it detects, okay, this is written in English. Since it is talking about hotels and food, and you see it is mentioning about lunch menu many different times. So the text classification, it categorizes it as a food and restaurant. Now in the named entity, you would see that it identifies different entities, and these are the color coded just for our benefit. So 10 years, that's a duration. Lunch, that's an event. Onion salad is a product. Restaurant is a location and facility. So it is going in and it is identifying these entities for us. It's able to extract these key phrases for us as well. So it's not only identifying, it is extracting, and I can utilize this for my next use case where I place these entities into a table, I add the aspect to it, and then I show the analysis. Now, this particular feedback overall was negative. So we see this feedback as, it gives me at different levels. The document sentiment is negative, aspect-based. If I read just one sentence, we have been going to this restaurant for over 10 years now and visit at least 2-3 months. All I can say is that they do not appreciate loyal customers. Now, from a sentence like this, it is able to decipher that it is talking about the restaurant and it is all negative. So that's what the aspect-based sentiment analysis is. And then it is showing me at the sentence level as well, right? Not all sentences were negative, not all sentences were positive. There are certain which were neutral. So at the sentence by sentence, it is showing me that. Then it is also giving me personal identification information. So anywhere where it identifies something like date time, something like, although in this example, I don't have credit card numbers or different things, it will identify and will mask. I have the option to configure mask. So there are different options. I can mask by saying, okay, make the last 4 things visible or last 4 things static, replace it with something else, or totally remove it. Whatever option I select, that would be the feedback over here. So I said remove, so that those information has been totally removed from the text, right? So this is how the interface looks like, right? But for us, when we want to automate all this, we are interested in calling this, passing the data to this, and getting the feedback. So in that regards, you can see on the right-hand side, there is the JSON. So I can see the JSON. And now I know when I call this API, how I will be getting the data. So if I look at the named entity, I can see the key. This is the offset where it is coming. What is the type? And what are the values, right? Similarly here, I'm seeing, text is 2-3 times. It's a quantity. If I go down, its text is per month, it's quantity, and so on. Right? So what I will be using in my demo, I will be actually passing some customer feedback to this API of OCI Language Service. I will be reading this information and then I will be taking some action, right? So when you see the sentiment, again, this is the text and the sentiment is negative. Now, imagine you have feedbacks, you are getting feedbacks in real time, or you're getting feedbacks, all the feedbacks have been stored in some kind of a file. You can pass all those feedback to this API. It will give you, analyze the named entity. It will give you the aspect, positive, negative, and then you can store it somewhere and you can take action. That's what we will see in the next part. The other thing that it provides you the translation service. So I can have a text. There are different languages that it supports, and I can easily translate that. And again, there is an API available, which I can utilize to translate any text from the languages that we support as source and to the languages that we support as target. And there is quite a bit large set of languages, including Arabic, Czech, Danish, and so on. Okay. Now, that was all about our core service when it comes to how we are going to read the sentiment from some kind of a text. The thing is, we want to automate this end-to-end. And to able to automate this, we would be using Oracle Integration Cloud Service. Now, Oracle Integration Cloud Service, this is one of the leading iPaaS services out there. If you go and look at Gartner, we are in the top right, we're in the leaders quadrant. It provides multiple capabilities, not only integrating, but also process automation where you can build workflows, Visual Builder where you can have visual screens and mobile applications you can build using that, B2B file transfer capabilities. OCI provides you a lot of services. OCI language is one service, so we can easily integrate with Oracle as well as non-Oracle services. So it sits at the core of any of these use cases where we need to do the integration and what I would say is automation. Oracle Integration Cloud provides a lot of adapters out of the box, from Oracle applications to non-Oracle. And in this case, I will be utilizing multiple adapters. I'll be using the autonomous adapter to store the results. I'll be using the REST adapter to call my language service. I will be using OCI streaming adapter for real-time replication, which is Oracle's Kafka-based streaming service. As I said, when we, as a person, I can go and I can read the feedback and get the sentiment out of it. From the language service, I saw that I can go in and I can type the text and I can get that information. But end of the day, what businesses are trying to do, they want to do automation end-to-end. These sentiments, if you look at the ingest, they are coming in different shapes and forms. It might be coming as a feedback, might be coming from an email. A customer is sending an email because any business, you can see there is a contact center and they would be providing. They might be sending an email for a complaint, or they might be happy. You might have a lot of feedback in some application or in some kind of a file. Today, if you look at social media, whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Google reviews, feedbacks are coming from all different shapes and angles. What Oracle Integration Cloud can do and simplify, it can read, it can connect to all these different services, it can read the data. Even if there are things are coming as a file attachment, it can actually download those attachments and extract data from that. Then once the information is available to Oracle Integration Cloud, we can call different AI services. In today's scenario, we are talking about language. For other scenarios, it could be something else. We can combine different services as well. One use case can be, I have got a lot of audio conversation about my call center. I use the OCI speech service to convert that into text, and then I pass that information to OCI Language Service to get the sentiment analysis. So once we have the information, we can call the language service, and then we can put this information to our database and have some analytics dashboards built on top of it. So in today's demo, what I will be showing you is a similar example. I have a lot of customer feedbacks I have been provided in a file, so which I will be storing in our object storage service. And I want this to be real time. So within OCI, there is a service called events. So as soon as a file is dropped in the object storage, I can actually trigger an event which will send a message to our Kafka streaming service. And Oracle Integration Cloud is reading that service. As soon as a message comes, it reads that message, it downloads the file, it sends it to OCI language, it gets all the entities, it gets all the sentiments, it stores all the feedback to our autonomous database where the analytics dashboards have been created. And you can, as a customer success person, can monitor those dashboards on a daily basis and say, okay, what is the sentiment? If they need to take action, they can take action. So before further ado, let's look at this end-to-end demo. Okay, now let's start with Oracle Integration Cloud. Within Oracle Integration Cloud, I have two integrations built. The first integration is actually, as I said, subscribing to the OCI stream. So here I have a trigger-based integration, which is, if you look at the connection, this is subscribing to one of the OCI stream. And what I'm doing in this scenario is, this is the OCI stream that I have. I am getting that information, and I have a sample message there as well. What message I'm ready to read from that stream. Once I configure that, all I'm doing is, as soon as I know that there's a message waiting for me, I call my child integration, which is going to call the language service. So if I just show you the mapper, here you see that the message that I receive on the left-hand side, I am receiving the request wrapper, I'm receiving the content, and as it is an event, I'm receiving different data telling me about the file that I have uploaded, into which compartment, into which bucket, and so on. And I'm passing that to my child integration as event ID and all that data information. Now, I'm calling this child integration, which is the integration number 2, where all the business logic is. And in this integration, once I receive that file, the first thing I do, I am actually downloading that file from object storage. So here you see I'm saying read that CSV file, and I'm actually downloading that CSV file into our own in-memory, which is the stage file. Then I'm going ahead and I'm performing different tasks. You see, I'm doing it in a loop because within that file, I don't know how many records might be there. So I run a loop. And first thing is, I'm actually saving the records because I'm getting the customer feedback inside one of the tables of my database. So here is my invoke save reviews to the database. And I can show you our database adapter very quickly. What the database adapter supports, it supports different operations. In this case, it is insert. I go in, I select the table, which is the name of the table is feedback, and I am basically going to store the results into this feedback table. And again, using our mapper, the information that I'm getting from the file, all the records one by one, I am inserting it inside the database table. So that is simple mapping. And you can see, I'm performing one-to-one mapping there. Next step, I've got two more tables. One table, I want to detect all the entities. And then the other table, I want to detect all the sentiments. So in this case, if I open this scope, I am calling the language API. So what I showed you from the front end, what I can do, I can perform all those tasks as part of the API. So here I'm calling the detect language entities. I am going to pass the text. This is my sample because that detect API just requires the text. Okay, give me the text that you want me to detect all the entities. And in the response, I will be receiving a response something like that. This is the sample. All the entities in an array, it tells me the offset. So that tells me within that text where this information is. What is the length of that text? What is the type? Is it a person, date, time, or something else, right? And the score. So that's what I would do. So again, within one sentence or within one text, there can be multiple entities. That's why you see I'm again going in a loop, and I'm now storing the text that I passed inside another table where I am storing the entities. So that's one table. And in a very similar manner, what I'm doing here is calling, I want to detect the sentiments, right? So again, calling the API, this time I'm asking it to detect language sentiments. In the request, again, it just requires me to pass the text. So I pass that text. And in the response, this time I would be receiving a response, which is the aspect analysis. So again, it gives me the offset, it gives me the text, it gives me sentiment, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether it's neutral, and then the score of that positive, negative, as well as neutral. This is the information which I would be then storing inside my database. So I can quickly show you from a mapping perspective that once I receive the sentiments, I am actually storing it in one of my tables, which is here. Right, so I've got the feedback ID, aspect, sentiment, and so on. So this is what my integration is doing as part of Oracle Integration Cloud. So, very easy, very quickly, I can put together this integration. And here you are seeing I'm using some connections, which are connections to my streaming API service, connection to my OCI language service, the database, and REST trigger. Now, okay, let's look at where we will start. So now I have OCI. Within OCI, we have object storage. So if you remember in my architecture, I've shown you the language side, I've shown you the integration, the integrations are built. Now look at the pieces which put all this architecture together. So we are going to object storage. Within object storage, we have buckets where we can store our files. So I have got a bucket, which is called HQ customer feedback. And within our OCI services, many different services, they can trigger an event. So if you notice over here, I have emit object events enabled, right? And what I have enabled over here is if I go to the event service, which is within our observability and management, I can very easily create an event. And I'll show you what this event is going to do before I download a file there. Is this. So I have an event, and within the event, the rules are event type is object create. So anytime an object is created or uploaded into that bucket, this event would be triggered. It have attributes, compartment name and bucket name are the attributes that it captured. And this is what this event is doing from a trigger perspective. If I do an edit rule, you can actually see, for example, the example over here. And this is the JSON object which I would be receiving. And you can see over here, I can read the file name, I can read the compartment name, and these are all the information that I need in my integration to download the file. And then there is an action. There are different actions that I can take from this event. Once the event is triggered, I am actually sending it to an OCI streaming topic, which is our OCI streaming, which is our Kafka service topic, and Oracle Integration Cloud, as part of my first integration, has subscribed to that topic. So I drop the file, it fires an event, it sends that message to the OCI streaming, and OIC now has got that event captured, and it takes it forward from there. That's not the only thing that I can do. If I wanted, I could have sent a notification. Maybe I send that as an email, or I can call an OCI function, which is our serverless service, to take some action also. So I have a streaming service. This is our streaming service where I've got this topic created. And this is the topic which is just stored. So HQ customer feedback stream. And the message comes over here, which Oracle Integration has subscribed to. Okay. Now, let's trigger this whole integration. So I'm going back to the bucket. So I have this customer feedback bucket. And I want to upload a file. So I'm just selecting one of my files which have got a lot of customer feedback. And that's the hotel reviews.csv file. And I will upload this, right? So it's a small file with around 15-20 records, but it can be more. But for the demo purpose, I have got 15-20 records there. So that's been uploaded. Now, as soon as this file has been uploaded, I expect that the event has fired and there is a streaming, it reached to streaming and within OIC. Now I'm coming back to my Oracle Integration Cloud. I go to Observe, which is our monitoring capability. And here what you see, it has already received a message on HQ. So you can see it's just now. So on the HQ subscribe stream customer feedback, I've received a message, right? So I just uploaded a file, and because it fired an event, it sent a message to OCI streaming, and I can see within the monitoring that my first integration is already triggered. And I can see it is all successful, and it is called the child integration. In the wire message in our activity stream, I can see this is the hotel reviews.csv file that I had uploaded, and all the other details are available there as well, right? So far so good. As soon as I upload a file, I get this has been triggered. And let's look at what's happening with the other integration. So it triggered the other integration, and that has also processed successfully. So if I go to the other integration, I can see the resource name hotelreviews.csv came. And this integration, as I was talking, that the record has around the file had around 14 records. It downloaded the file, it then one by one inserted that information into 3 tables. One was entities, the other is sentiment, and then the third was feedback, right? So I can see all this has been completed successfully. Now, this is my Oracle autonomous database, and here are the tables that I had, right? So when I look for records inside the feedback table, I think my session might have expired, but let's see. Yeah. So these are all the records which came from that file, right? So I've got these 14 records. I've got different fields, ID, feedback date, feedback, and location. Similarly, I've got another table, sentiment, and I've captured the sentiment and I've stored that in the sentiment table. So what happens in the sentiment for the named entities, it will give me the score, whether the sentiment is positive, whether the sentiment is negative, and this is all coming from the API that I showed you in my integration. So here you can see the aspect about view is positive for this feedback ID, server positive, and so on. If there is any negative feedback, which I think is here for crib, there was a negative feedback, right? So we have captured the aspect, we have captured the entities, we have captured the feedback. Now, on top of this, we have built an analytics dashboard. Now, this dashboard is actually capturing the data from the database tables that I showed you. So it's just asking me to refresh. And this is all now is real time, right? I did not have any records in my database table. And I ran this and I can have my dashboard sentiments available also. Let it just load. Okay, and this is what, it's a very simple dashboard that I have created. I am counting all the aspects and sentiments. You can see by the size of the text that, for employees, for hotel, there is a lot of positive feedback as well as there is negative feedback. So I can compare them. So here you can see, I can compare, there are around 40 negative aspect feedbacks about hotel, while there are 120 for positive. Similarly, I can see about room, there are certain negative feedback. I can read the actual text related to that particular feedback over here. Okay, these were the two requests or two feedbacks which were had room aspect has got a little bit negative. I am counting the different entities here as well. So this is just a very, basic dashboard that I have, but you get the context, right? So with the feedbacks that I'm receiving, I am not only able to understand the aspect, I can actually automate the whole end-to-end process. I can have a dashboard for my customer success people to monitor this, and I can actually take some actions as well. With the help of process there, I might trigger some events which I want to reach out to those customers and send them an automated email, or maybe send them some, as I said, some coupons and things like that. So all these things can be done in real time. Okay. So from the demo perspective, this is the overall what I wanted to cover on. If there are any questions or if there is any specific thing about this demo that you would like me to show you, please let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Harris, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us. And thanks to Harris and thanks to Juan Carlos for presentation, demo, and Q&A. So we have received some questions so far. Thank you for those. And please raise any remaining questions in the Q&A box. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pop up a conclusion poll here. So we have 3 questions in this poll, so make sure to scroll down to see them all. And I'm going to let this poll run in the background for a little while so that Harris and Juan Carlos can go over the Q&A questions we have received so far. So Harris and Juan Carlos, you can decide how you want to cover them, but you can cover from the list of those who have been answered so far, and if you could repeat the question as well along with the answer. So I let thank you for responding to the poll, and I'm gonna let it run for a little bit longer and then conclude it. So yeah, Harrison.
Yeah, I can see there's a question from Mr. Hussain. Can the same apply to using audio recording files? Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we have different AI services. The OCI AI speech service, it can actually take any kind of an audio and it can convert that into text. So as part of the automation process, we will actually first convert the audio into text, and then we will pass it to the language, because language input only is text. And using those 2 services, we can perform similar tasks to audio recording files as well. There's another question. Is this feedback getting processed using Oracle AI? Definitely. And I expect all green and positive. Let me look at some of the questions. Juan, if there's any question you would like to pick, please let me know.
I can repeat some of them. So one of those is Kernel language service, read from voice, videos, and images. So basically, I mean, the OCI AI language service operates over text. So what you can do is for voice and videos, you can use OCI speech to extract text from audio or video files, and then sending that to OCI AI language to do text analysis, whatever you want, sentiment, whatever. And for images, you can use OCI Vision to extract metadata from those images and then passing that to OCI language to do whatever you want, like a name entity recognition or something like that. Someone was asking for a reference link to an existing practical example to like a step by step. I posted a link of a step by step to do real time and event driven Twitter sentiment analysis using OCI AI language and Oracle integration. Harris, I don't know if you have another link that we can share as well.
Yeah, so there are, if you go to Oracle Live Labs, there are individual live labs for OCI language service, a lot of live labs for Oracle Integration Cloud. The link that Juan has shared with you, that basically combines both of them. But do check in live labs. We are always adding more and more live labs. I'm sure one of these demos that we are showing would appear in those live labs sometime soon.
There's another one really interesting. Can we convert these sentiments in terms of star ratings as well, like 1 star to 5 stars? So basically, one thing that you can do is to leverage another capability that we have within Oracle Integration Cloud that is called DMN rules. So you can have like a decision table where you can have like, based on the score that this OCI AI language sentiment analysis provides you, that is from 0 to, from 0 to 1, sorry. What you can do is basically like, depending on the ranges of that score, you can convert that from, to a range, let's say from 1 to 5. And the cool thing here is that when you define these DMN rules within Oracle Integration Cloud process automation, those rules can be exposed, or let's say when you publish or activate them, they are exposed as REST services. So then you can use Oracle Integration Cloud to call this service after you apply sentiment analysis. And as Harris showed, we can do batch sentiment analysis because the API can receive multiple texts, let's say. So this DMN rule, or this decision rule, can also receive an array of text, or a score, sorry, in this case. And then you can have like an array, a result array with, let's say, a score from 1 to 5. So that will be, let's say, the approach that you could follow to implement or support and cover these kind of transformation or star ratings, right?
Yeah. Juan, we have just received a new question, so I'll just quickly answer that. So can this be integrated with third-party survey tools? Yes, absolutely. There are different ways from a use case perspective you can integrate it with third-party tools. First thing, from an Oracle Integration Cloud, it can connect with Oracle, non-Oracle applications, any APIs. So from a third-party tool, if you have received a lot of responses and you have that information available either in text, or there is an API where you can download all the feedback, you can then pass that to the language service and you can easily integrate that manner. I understand these days when we are doing third-party surveys, while there would be certain questions which are, multiple choice or single choice, but we also provide a lot of text for people to provide their feedback. And I'm assuming this question is about, okay, if there is a text in those surveys, how can we get that text? So from those third-party tools like Monkey Survey and others, they provide APIs. You can call those APIs, receive that feedback, and then the rest is very, very similar. And see, Mark has just provided a link to one of the live labs. So please do look at that. Okay, so if there is no more questions, you can continue asking. I'll just quickly do a wrap up. So from our perspective today, what we covered, in the demo, we showed two integrations. One integration was reading the data from OCI streaming service, and the other was actually downloading the file from object storage, passing all the text into to our OCI language service, getting the sentiments, getting the entities, storing it inside the database. For this demo purpose, I used a file which had some feedback, but that's just for this demonstration. As we discussed, we have other use cases Juan Carlos has already shared. We can actually get data from a Twitter live feed. We can get data from Google reviews, for example. We can get data from WhatsApp and so on, or the third-party service as the question came. So once we have the text, in this demo, we were actually uploading the file to a bucket, which is our object storage service. We were triggering an event because we wanted to do it real time. That event was passing the information to our OCI streaming service. And once that service was there, OIC reads it. And finally, it was storing all this feedback, entities, and sentiment inside our autonomous database service. And we had built a analytics dashboard, which was showing all the information about the aspect, the positive, negative, neutral feedback that people are providing about customer feedback. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you have any questions, please ask now. Later on, you can reach out to us as well. You can easily find myself, Juan Carlos, on LinkedIn. And if you need, you can get our email addresses and details too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So feel free to drop off from the webinar as you like. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.